I may not have gone where I intended to go, but I think I ended up where I intended to be. Douglas Adams said that, and I'm saying this. Welcome to High and Low. Good day and good night. Welcome to a very special episode of the High and Low Basketball Show. This is episode number 100 and... This is episode number 200 and Parish. AKA episode number 200. Look at me, I'm just getting used to just the 100s. We are officially in the 200s. There's a long list of great players that have worn or are wearing the number 0, like Tyrese Halliburton, Russell Westbrook, Gilbert Arenas, Damian Lillard. It's more popular than its 00 counterpart, as it represents more than just a number. In Dame's case, his number is not a number at all. It represents Oakland. And I think he went to college in a town in Utah that starts with the letter O. No, these are weird things that you find on the internet. And there's Josh Richardson, who picked the number 0 for similar reasons. He's from Oklahoma. So go figure. NBA players don't know the difference between a 0 and an O. Despite the popularity of the single 0, this is for the player who wore 00. So apologies to the aforementioned, but Hall of Fame Boston Celtic big man, Boston Celtic big man, Robert Parrish, aka the Chief. Well, he wore the number 00 for 21 seasons starting in 1976 and never wore another. To the Chief, 0 was more than a number. It was the foundation. 0 is the base of the mathematical system. It's an enigma, a number that holds no value on its own, yet it gives so much meaning to every other number. Robert Kaplan, a Harvard math professor, said it best. 0 gives a value to other numbers by its location. It's just like passing in basketball. It's setting up the play. Anyway, welcome to the show. My name is Ike Amaechi. I'm here with Sir Mitch of House Orsatti, or you can call him Mitch Orsatti. And I'm also here with Ugo the Sheik and Sean Controversy. And you'll hear from the guest, Stephen Leslie. And around here, we live by a principle governed by the high and low lives of the world, which means we talk about basketball, especially and specifically the NBA. And we talk about it at any time, anywhere, north, south, east, west, high, and low. This week, we celebrate. We've reached episode 200 of the High and Low Basketball Show, and we'll commemorate this milestone by looking back at our favorite moments, dating back to our first episode back in May 2000.
Winning.
May 2000.
Winning.
I still think back to that first episode, which I will always apologize for because the audio was subpar, to say the least.
Generous, yeah.
But I remember feeling a sense of freedom because we were fresh into the pandemic. People were holed up in their homes with nowhere to go. The world was at a standstill, but we were able to get together virtually and talk about some basketball, talk hoops, like we were in the same room. And I remember recording that episode on my roof under the night sky, feeling a sense of liberation and freedom. It's great. It's a great way to start this run. Hey, like I said, we'll get into our favorite moments since that spring evening. We're diving into the mailbag as well. I'm just going to answer some questions from high and low listeners. It's only right. We have questions from regular listeners that usually drop great questions for us. And sometimes they drop great comments, some controversial ones. But we'll answer those questions. We're also bringing back a segment from back in the day. Once upon a time, Ugo used to concoct these wild and strange scenarios for us, and we would share what we would do in that situation. So yes, we're going to do that on this episode. Ugo, you have 2 scenarios, right?
Yes, I do. Well, yeah, two. And,
2.
But
you had one
Mitch
for Steven.
We had one for Steven. I got one for Sean, and Mitch gets a choose your own adventure one.
Ooh, love it. Teaser.
Yeah.
Stick around. Please stick around for that. We know how teasers work. And I mentioned that you would hear from Steven. We had some scheduling challenges, so Steven was unable to join the group for this recording, but I was able to meet up with Steven earlier today. Actually, well, Ugo and myself, we were able to meet up with Steven earlier just to capture his opinions and sentiments. So I'll include them as we go. So, to you won't even hear the difference. Yeah, you'll hear Steven's answers right away. I also have an announcement to make at the end of the episode, so stay tuned for that. Don't miss that one. Anyway, before we lock in, let me check in.
Oh, hi. Thanks for checking in. I'm still a piece of garbage.
Fellas, how you guys doing?
Yeah.
Well, I'm really tired, but other than that, I'm good.
Yeah.
We here.
We here, yeah. Oh, thanks.
Mitch sounds like he's been on a 4-day bender. But,
Something like that.
he's just been partying hard.
Company dime partying. That's me.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta do what you gotta do, especially when you don't have to pay.
Mm-hmm.
And Sean, you good? Sean was at a Raptors game last night.
Ooh,
I
fancy.
had a box, private box, and
Ooh.
fourth row center court, right behind Jack Armstrong and Matt Devlin.
Look at that.
Ooh, and you didn't call
I didn't
any of your
realize that
friends.
Get that shit out of here.
Jack uses like the same bathroom as like the rest of us peasants. Like there's like a lineup at halftime, and this guy's like right in front of me in line, like, waiting for the urinal. It's like shouldn't he have his own bathroom? But no, I guess
Wonder if he says get that garbage out of here every time he takes it down.
Yeah.
Oh god.
I know.
I didn't stick around to find out, but wouldn't be surprised if he did.
Hey, Sean, Ugo, Mitch, and Steven, appreciate your time this week. Thank you for joining me. And listeners of the show, High and Low Lives of the World, thank you for joining us. Hope you're having a great week. And we're here another week, another episode, because if there's more NBA, of course, there's more High and Low. This week in High and Low history, I shot a pilot. On the afternoon of March 24th, 2017, my old producing partner and I gathered some talented people together at Page One Cafe to shoot the pilot episode of a unique basketball show for television. And we called it High and Low. The concept was simple: capture two people having a casual conversation about the NBA in regular, everyday places at any time, anywhere, north, south, east, west, high and low. And we had 3 cameras pointed at a small table by the window with Sajia Liu and Sirit Sohi. They were both sitting across from one another talking about an aging superstar named Carmelo Anthony, who recently relocated to Oklahoma City at that time. And they also talked about a young player full of potential, a guy named Ben Simmons.
Who?
And they talked about all the question marks surrounding this guy. So I think their takes have aged very well.
Who's that guy?
Yeah, Ben Simmons. By the way, I was watching a video by NBA Recap on TikTok, and they were redrafting Ben Simmons' draft
Oh my god, I
class.
saw that video.
Oof. What did he fall down to? Like 18?
Yeah, and some guys were not where they were supposed to be. I did not like that. But usually I like their stuff. I had some problems with that one.
Yeah, I think Pascal was up to like number 4 or 3.
4 or 5 or something like that, yeah.
Yeah. But NBA Recap, usually, yeah, I agree. Usually I really like their stuff. But anyway, back to the pilot. The pilot looked great, in my opinion. Like nothing anyone has seen on TV or the internet. The concept way ahead of its time, if you ask me. And it had every reason to land on the network and become your favorite sports show, but all you need is one bad reason to pause. And I won't get into the details as to why the project had to pause or was shelved, but High and Low was shelved. And I made a decision to establish an audience while the pilot sat on the shelf by launching the podcast. Sirit even made an appearance on an early episode of the podcast where Ugo tried to flame her for thinking Joel Embiid could win an MVP. Turns out she would eventually be vindicated. And Ugo would have to slurp on a bowl of crow, huh?
Yeah. Listen, he was the un-MVP that year, that's for sure. They, just didn't wanna give
Un-MVP,
Jokic-
okay.
They didn't want to give it to Jokic 3 times in a row. We all know that.
Look at that. This digging his heels in and doubling down. All right.
Facts. Where's he now? Where's he now?
God.
Wow, okay. But yeah, and Sirit, of course, she went on to do some fantastic things. She's on The Ringer right now. So go to The Ringer Network and go check out her podcast. Perhaps I'll release the pilot on our YouTube channel one day soon. Maybe you'll see it on a network or platform. Time will tell. But that was a little something for the NBA history nerds. Let's take a quick break and just throw this segment headfirst into a bucket of diced jalapenos with its eyes sewn wide open. When we come back, we're diving into the mailbag. This is High and Low.
Thank you.
This episode of High and Low was brought to you by Michael Jordan's left hand, GOATs, generation gaps, in the 1990s. Let's get back to the show.
And welcome back to the show. Welcome back to High and Low. I'm Ike Amaechi. I'm here with Mitch, Ugo, and Sean. And Steven is here in spirit. Things are certainly happening in the NBA, which is why you have questions, we have answers. So let's talk about it.
Let's talk about something important.
We have several questions from some familiar listeners gathered for this special episode. You can each jump in with your opinions. And of course, I'll add Steven's response afterwards. So listeners will definitely hear Steven chime in. Of course, you guys won't, but I already
Advanced
shared
apologies
Steven's.
to the listeners.
Carter, what's your question?
Let's start with the first question from Aleem in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Shout out to Aleem. Shout out to all our listeners in Toronto. Can you think of a player or team that came up and fell off the most since High and Low started?
Like since High and Low started, come up and fall off the most. I'm gonna have to go with this player, Rajon Rondo. So when we started, he was on the best franchise in the league, the Los Angeles Lakers. He was on the rival team for most of his career, the Boston Celtics. So it was a big middle finger to them. That's when the come up started. Then he has the iconic picture of him shirtless, sitting in confetti, with his kid behind him drinking champagne after winning the championship. Now that's when the come up is at its peak, and then it just drops from there. In 2020, Rondo and his girl were seen on a TMZ camera fighting a lady over parking in a handicap spot, which he had to pay some money for in the courts. 2022, Rajon's baby moms, the same one he was fighting with, claimed that he pulled a gun on her and her kids. That had to be settled in the courts. And then more recently, 2024, he's arrested in Indiana on gun and drug charges while driving over the speed limit with a juvenile in the car. I can't think of a more drop off than that since we started. It's just downhill, and he's not in the league, obviously. He doesn't have a podcast, so I don't know. Rondo sold his soul for that championship.
Was it worth it, Rondo?
I think so. Also, child services should have been involved. His child was drinking champagne.
That's crazy. That was a big red flag right away.
Right away, but we didn't see it. Limelight, LA1.
I can jump in on this one.
Yeah.
I would say the Houston Rockets. When we were first starting this, they were all in on the analytics. James Harden was a darling of the league, advocating for him winning MVPs, winning scoring titles. Morey was, Mr. GM Fantastico. And then after that 2019-2020 season, they just dropped. I mean, I don't even know if they broke 20 wins since then. Oh, yeah, they got 2021. Anyway, they've fallen off the cliff. Feels like they didn't break 20, but they've just completely fallen off since the 1920 season. So, I mean, they're in a phase of rebuild, but yeah, like they are nothing like the Houston Rockets that we remember 5 years ago.
I'm going to piggyback off that if you don't mind. In typical, actually, sorry, I'll take that back. But I'm going to say like my answer to this question was James Harden specifically. But Ugo's right. The Rockets have also shown a very similar drop off. In 2019, 2020.
Jeez.
Harden was
back
third.
in 1920.
Harden was third in MVP voting. He was 13th the next season, and he hasn't received a vote since. And he's only made one All-Star game. So this year he's averaging 17, 8, and 5, which obviously isn't horrible, especially as a third option. But it's a far cry from his MVP seasons.
That's true. Facts.
Those are good.
No shade at Russ.
Well, hey, give me my turn. So I was going to say that Russ is a guy I don't want to say. Because I feel like his and Harden's too, to a degree, is age, really. Age and situation. Russ like shot himself out of his situation, I think, a little bit. But I'm gonna go a little easy on Russ because I want to talk about guys who have fallen off harder. It's two guys, and I think these guys were both arguably like top 20 guys 4 years ago. One of them is Kemba Walker, and the other one is Blake Griffin. Both those guys are out of the league. Blake retired, I think, but Kemba is like getting cooked wherever he is. China? Is he in China?
Yeah,
No, he's in Monaco.
Monaco.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Kemba, I looked through a couple player rankings from 2020. He was like 20th, 18th, 22nd. And then even immediately after 2020, he was like cooked and gone.
Yeah.
And this guy was supposed to be like, not a face of a franchise, but a guy who I thought was going to be around for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. Kemba, he came up on an episode that I did about the glut or influx of players, NBA players that found themselves overseas, especially this past season. Mm-hmm. And I was definitely influenced by some clip that I saw of DeMarcus Cousins playing in Taiwan this year.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then looking into it, I was like, oh, wow. Kemba Walker's in AS Monaco. And I remember there was some sort of announcement that he was going to be playing for that team. They were making a big deal out of it in the offseason. And he's playing behind Mike James, who used to play for the Brooklyn Nets.
Mm-hmm. Who is, I think he just set the Euro League like all-time scoring record or something.
Scoring record, exactly. Yeah. Like Mike James he was the number one guy in Monaco and retained that spot, while I think Kemba Walker was getting like maybe 8 minutes a game.
He was the number one guy in Toronto for a minute too.
Different Mike James.
Oh yeah.
Really?
No, that's Mike James from back in the day.
Yeah.
This is
talking about.
The Mike James we're talking about did play in the NBA for a minute though.
Yeah,
he was
where?
Brooklyn.
Oh, from Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
Okay,
Yeah.
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 I thought he was going to stay longer because he was like he was a stud in the Euro League, and then Brooklyn.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to be in the NBA for a long time. He just stayed.
Yeah, but
he was there for like one season, I think, right?
Yeah, they had that whole mess with Durant and Harden and Simmons on
Kyrie.
the same squad. And
Kyrie.
Kyrie. Sorry, that big goal. Anyway, it was a big mess. So he was not going to shine. Nobody was going to shine on that squad. That's for sure.
Yeah,
but yeah, exactly. Like to my point though, right? Like Kemba was a top 20 player, and now he's getting 8 minutes a game playing backup point guard 4 years later in Europe.
Yeah.
So would you say he's a John Wall without the injury?
He's worse.
He's worse. Yeah, categorically, I think worse.
All right.
Kind of random, but do you guys ever follow or see clips of Stephon Marbury?
Oh yeah,
China. His like social media account is so funny. He goes to like restaurants, tries the food. He's like speaking fluent Mandarin or whatever it is. He's like totally engulfed in the culture. He's amazing.
He's a legend over there.
He is.
Legend.
Yeah, he found his peace. I'm happy for him.
Good for him. Hey, and good for you, Aleem. Thank you. Great question. Shout out to you.
Okay, next, what's his name? With this back to me.
This next one is from Bigums in Thousand Oaks, California.
Bigums.
There you go. Congratulations on 200 boys. Who will benefit the most from the long list of players disqualified from awards and All-NBA recognition due to missing the 65-game minimum? It's a great question.
So like with it's actually all great questions, but like just at first glance, I was just thinking, who are the best players that don't miss games? And I went to Giannis initially, but he's missed like almost 20 games a season for the last 3 or 4 seasons, so he's right on that bubble. But the NBA Iron Man is Nikola Jokic. Like I think he hasn't played less than 69 games in a year. Combine that with he's like the best player in the world. It's pretty much a lock for a top 3 MVP vote every year. Whereas Giannis, I think he'll probably, because of this new rule, he'll probably make sure he plays 65 games, but
he's already at 64
this year. Yeah. So, but still, like he still has shown a little bit of weakness in terms of his willingness to play a full season, whereas Jokic hasn't.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Shea still. I know we talked about this before. I think with the top of the pack being a little bit more thin, listen, Jokic has been playing great. They can throw him MVPs any season that they want, but I just don't think there's an appetite for voters to hand him another one at this point in time. Giannis, he's playing great, but I don't think, at least in my opinion, he's not doing anything that is making him stand out above and beyond the pack. But Shea, with that OKC team that's doing well and still leading the West and still doing their thing, I think they're going to give him his flowers this year, just to make it different and make it more interesting.
Well, I think both of you did this wrong, so kudos to that. Those guys are going to make All NBA anyways. What are y'all talking about?
He's picking a European.
Every single one of those people are first team All NBA guys all the time.
It's true.
What are we talking about here?
The cusp, the guys on the cusp.
This is about the guys on the cusp, and let me tell you who this impacts the most. He is European, Ugo. It's for the first time. All right, hold on. Before I say this, quick caveat: I think All NBA third team is silly and shouldn't exist. I think there should only be two. It's really the only ones that matter. And you know who's been in the All NBA center position at teams 1 and 2 forever? Nikola Jokic and Joel Embiid. Mix and match, 1 and 2, 1 and 2. Finally, a third center can get some second team recognition, and that's going to be Domantas Sabonis. I think he benefits the most from this rule because Joel Embiid's ineligible, and Jokic is going to get first team, and he is going to win MVP, by the way, Ugo. Shea has had a great season, but he's starting to slip a little bit, and by slip, I mean like the standards are so high, and he's just like not quite at the high place he was a couple months back, and Jokic doesn't ever slip, so I hope that there's no like voter fatigue here because he already had that. We already had the voter fatigue season. Let's move on. So I think he's still going to win. But I have two other guys because there's two guys who were All NBA second team last year that are not going to make it this year, and that's Donovan Mitchell and Jimmy Butler. They both are not going to have enough games played. So I think and hope that we're going to see Halliburton get bumped up to second team. If he can, I think he's got 4 more games he can miss. And then for that final forward spot, well, you know what? Maybe there's 2 forward spots because I don't think Jaylen Brown makes second team again this year. He's gotten a little bit worse. Boston's better, so maybe he gets that.
Maybe
but I want to see maybe third. I'd like to see him bump down to third, and I'd like to see Kawhi back up second team. And AD, I think, is deserving. He's stayed pretty healthy, and he's having a really great season.
Yeah.
And just like to go back to your original point, the NBA owes Sabonis one too for not
100%
getting into the All-Star game. Like that was criminal that he didn't make the All-Star.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, he's having such a good season.
Yeah. We'll hear from Steven right now. I feel like this one's easy.
So I thought this was easy too. Europeans. They don't miss games and they don't get hurt.
Okay.
It was too easy. Giannis European too.
All right, you guys, what's next?
So this one is from Cam in Henderson, Nevada. If we are handing out MVPs for listener questions, I think Cam will be taking that one home because he's come through with some clutch questions recently. So what would Gen Z's all-time top 10 list look like? It's so direct, but it says so much. And it's also piggybacking on his previous question, which was last week about, I think he's the one that was asking the questions about Michael Jordan and Gen Z attacking him and all that stuff. So anyway, thoughts?
So I missed that whole attacking Michael Jordan thing, but you got to figure they're not going to eliminate everyone that we would put on the top 10 list. So I'm going to say they're going to include Jordan, Magic, and Kareem.
Wait. Should we go like
go 10 to 1?
10 to 1?
Okay.
Yeah.
Like from number 10. Well, I don't really have it in order, but
okay.
So I'll say like Harden, Westbrook, Kawhi, KD, Kobe, Magic, Kareem, Steph, Jordan.
Okay.
Did you say LeBron?
I did say LeBron, didn't I? He's on my list. So LeBron's in there as well. If I missed it, yeah, LeBron's definitely there.
Okay.
All right. So I don't think Kareem gets in because of and here the reason I struggle with this question, and I am saying it for the first time here that I'm struggling with this question, is that I don't want to just presume all Gen Zs are dummies. But like I kind of have to if the list is not going to be what it's going to be, you know? Like, so firstly, apologies to Gen Zs out there listening. I'll go 10-1. And I don't know, Ant is number 10, maybe? Who knows?
Oh my God.
Anthony Edwards is already the 10th best player ever.
That's right. I'm not backing down either. I'm going to go number 9. I'm going to go KD. 8. I'm going to go Shaq at 8 because I think he's still like around. You know, like people still know him. He's on TV. Magic at 7. Ready for this one? Paul George at 6.
Oh God.
Because I honestly don't get it. I see so many TikToks of like current NBA players and Gen Z people being like, "Yeah, Paul George, one of the greatest of all times." I'm like, why, where, when? Like, how?
Yeah.
Anyways, 5. I'll go Giannis. 4. I'm gonna go Steph. 3. I'm gonna go Jordan. 2. I'm gonna go Kobe. 1. I'm gonna go LeBron.
Wow.
That's what I think.
So Steven dropped his list earlier,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, I'll share that right now.
First of all, to Google what Gen Z was and see what year they were born.
1995.
I saw 6, but it's around the same time.
1996.
Yeah.
Yeah. 2000 and what? 2014?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So the first, Kevin Garnett. I think they see Kevin Garnett as like a mean guy, competitive. They don't really remember him Timberwolves times, but they saw him in Boston, and they see him as a meme saying words he doesn't understand in the later part of his career. 10, that's 10. So 9, I got Shaq. Shaq because Shaq's on TNT. They love Shaq. He talks the most. He says whatever's on his mind, and they know that he was good on the Lakers and not really Orlando. They don't know about that. 8, Blake Griffin. They're going to love Blake Griffin because he's a dunker. He dunked on people. He dunked over a Kia car, and just that's it. He's just known as a dunker. 7, James Harden. Some of these guys were saying James Harden's the best player in the league just because he was doing his thing, getting his fouls and dashing up threes, and ultimately king of the strip clubs. 6, Paul George. I'm saying Paul George because some of the Gen Zs have actually said Paul George is their favorite player.
Yep.
5, Kawhi. I think they've seen Kawhi win a few championships on different teams. And he's just interesting name, the Claw. They like that stuff. They like any nickname, and he's dismissive, doesn't talk to people outside. So he has this little mystique about him. 4, Curry. Best point guard in the league during their tenure. Memes of him and videos of him crossing out Chris Paul. 3, Jordan. They don't want to hear any has-been talk of what he did back in the 90s and 80s. They're even dissing him now, saying he has no left. There's clips of every shot he's missed, dunks he's missed, turnovers he's had. So, and a debate between him and quite possibly their favorite player. So, they're siding with who they want. So Jordan is 3rd. 2, Kobe. They can't shoot inside of a garbage can without saying his name.
Kobe!
And listen, if you go to California, there's a lot of Kobe murals all over. Everywhere. And there's an app where you can track all of them, and there's a lot.
I saw that.
Yes. I myself have seen a few because I went, but I was like, there are a lot.
And there's some Kobe murals in places that people shouldn't go.
That's true.
That's another thing, man.
Yeah.
Good.
And then number 1 is LeBron James. Gen Z love a LeBron James, man. Was it 9 times to the finals in a row? That's all they knew was LeBron. And they'd be capping, making excuses on why he lost, this and that. And the ones that he won, they love LeBron James.
And we're back.
But your list is very similar to his, especially from 6 to 1. Yeah, because he had Paul George, I think, at number 5. But 3, Jordan. 2, Kobe. 1, LeBron.
There you go.
Wow. Yep. You guys, look at you guys, syncopated.
It's always the way it was.
Yeah. Nice. And you go.
Yeah. So I tried to do this because I don't even really understand Gen Z or whatever. So anyway, I just went with some flash in the pan. So, and I didn't even do this in any order because I really didn't give a about this question.
Hey, language.
Excuse me on this one. So I just
One of
went
your
with
kids crying.
I know.
Damn.
I
Cam.
keep
Wow.
them crying.
Wow. Sean.
Yeah.
Guys out here fighting strangers in the streets, making his kids cry.
Yeah. Moving forward, before I make you cry, Sean.
Wow.
So I just went with some of the glitz and glamour that Gen Z is all accustomed to. I did not include any of the legitimate old timers that know about anything here. So I went with Luka, Ja, Embiid, Jokic, Jalen Green, Zion, Wemby, Josh Giddey, Melo. What is happening?
The younger Gen Zs love Josh Giddey.
Stop.
I see them all on their socials. And there's people out there that think Jokic and Embiid are the greatest players of all time. God knows why. Zion.
Jokic might be.
Listen. I got a friend of mine that's not around here right now that would make that argument, saying that he's trash. And you know who you are, Steven.
King?
Well, no,
King, is that you?
Yeah, King.
I completely forgot about that guy too. Yeah, King doesn't like him either.
Wow.
He's still a milk bag. But these are the guys I see on everybody's socials talking about them all the time. They ain't really doing that much. Tatum is apparently the face of the league, but not really the face of the league. So that's the list that I went with. I didn't really care about the question though. So
Okay, well,
sorry, Cam.
Sorry, Cam. Goodness.
Sorry, not sorry.
Sorry. Hey, and Cam's probably most likely a millennial. Not to categorize people according to their age, but the battle between millennials and Gen Z rages on. And Gen Alpha is coming for Gen Z.
That was also my favorite moment ever too.
Yeah, we just have to replay this moment in a few minutes.
All right, you guys, what's next?
Okay, so the next is from Shango in Shreveport, Louisiana. Shango. Shout out to you, Shango. So if you could switch places with any player in the NBA, who would it be and why?
LeBron James. And I'm getting a divorce immediately. Not because I don't like Savannah, but listen, I know the power I got, and I know what I got. Boy, you might be talking about wilt numbers with me, and I'm not talking about 100 points.
Would Jeannie Buss be on that list?
Someone asked me that this week, and I said no. She look like your dad.
It's so gross.
Yeah, nah.
Oh, I know what I'm doing. I'm going Jaylen Brown. Get that bag for doing next to nothing. Love it.
Then you would only have a right hand.
Yeah.
All I need is a right hand.
But you'd be the second best dunker actually the best dunker in the NBA because you came second and the other guys haven't.
Listen, man, I got $300 million in the bank. I don't care.
So that was my first instinct, was like, who has played the least but gotten paid the most? And I'm like, Ben Simmons. But then I thought about it more. I'm like, who would I actually want to trade places with? And for me, it's obvious, and it's Steph Curry. Like, dude has one of the best skills across any sport ever with that shot. He's going to leave a top 10 all-time legacy. He's seemingly beloved by everybody. And to top it off, he's a scratch golfer. So I don't think there's been an NBA player that has lived a better life, all things considered.
It's tough to think of anyone who's had a better run as just like a...
And he was born rich.
Exactly. Like born into money. Like basically born into the league. Yeah. Steph Curry is a good one, man.
All right, so one consideration I think you left out of that, Sean, and it's the consideration that's going to drive me to pick the player I pick, is I'm not like... Okay, so recently I kind of realized that I do like a little bit of the spotlight and being around people. Kind of like come out of my shell a little bit, but I also really like being alone and not being around people. And if you're switching places with Steph Curry or Jaylen Brown, the grocery store is out for you. You can't go anywhere without being mobbed and hounded.
All right, you guys, what's next?
So my person is, give me Mike Conley. I'll switch places with Mike Conley. Super solid career, well liked, some game left in his tank, well off money wise. But you put Mike Conley in front of 50 random people, and I bet you like 4 of them can pick him out.
What? Not Jokic?
I like that criteria.
No, Jokic is too popular, man. I'm not trying to.
Well,
I'm not trying to be ultra famous.
He sticks out like a sore thumb in Utah, but
That's right.
Anywhere else he goes.
Right. Well, I'm not trying to be in Utah.
Just go to parts unknown.
There is no parts unknown. That's the thing. Like, there's no parts unknown if you're Steph Curry. You're recognized everywhere.
Doesn't exist.
I thought you were going to say Kawhi with your intro to that question. Like,
yeah, Kawhi is like,
but he's still super famous.
Kawhi's he's still too famous. Yeah, it's too. My bar is like, exactly. My bar is super low for fame. I'm not trying to be famous. Rich, sure, great, love that. But famous, nah.
That's why NHL players go play in LA and not in Toronto.
Why?
Yeah, that's true.
Because
they don't get recognized.
In the streets.
Nobody knows them.
They're still making millions and are living in LA and not in Toronto.
Yeah, Tampa too. That's why they like it down there.
So true.
Nobody knows.
Well, Steven went in the opposite direction. He said, of course, that he would want to be LeBron.
Really?
There you go.
Oh my goodness. Sorry, man.
He is a billionaire.
LeBron has it all. But his reasons were, and of course, I've already played Steven's answer. But he said that he would instantly divorce Savannah and then just go on a tear through LA and try to put up Wilt Chamberlain numbers. And he's not talking about the 100-point game.
Oh, goodness. All right, grand closing.
So there's our Steven.
Steven.
Same energy.
All right. Well, hey, thank you, Shango. Thank you, Bigums. Thank you, Aleem. And thank you, Cam in Henderson, Nevada, for your questions. Appreciate you guys, man. You guys, honestly, you're the all high and low team when it comes to listening to questions.
The Mount Rushmore there, eh?
That's the Mount Rushmore for sure. For sure. There were a few other questions that I couldn't get to, so I apologize to listeners for those omitted. Those omissions, but hey, man, we appreciate all the questions, and we always appreciate the fact that you guys tune in every single week. Hey, it's time for us to take a quick break. We're gonna tie this segment up, drench it in some monkey urine, and leave it there with a shoe-billed stork that hasn't had a meal in 6 days. Wow. And if you've seen a shoe-billed stork, then you'd be scared.
Damn, you gotta Google.
When we come back, we're sharing our favorite moments from the show. This is the High and Low Basketball Show.
We'll be right back.
This moment is brought to you by High and Low listeners. Cheryl in Toronto, Canada shared her top 5 NBA legends from the 1990s that would be top 10 players today. Starting with number 5, Cheryl chose Indiana Pacers sharpshooting Hall of Famer Reggie Miller. Number 4 is the Chicago Bulls versatile forward Scottie Pippen. He would still need a perimeter game. Number 3 is Shaquille O'Neal. Shaq was dominant in the 90s, but would be less effective in today's offenses. Cheryl's number 2 pick is Hakeem the Dream and his legendary Dream Shake. Hakeem's footwork was elite and would hold up in any era. You can see it in Jokic's game. And the number 1 choice is Michael Jordan. He's the greatest of all time for a reason. His game, his determination, his killer mentality would make him the GOAT in any decade. Great list, Cheryl. Thanks for sharing your top 5 this week. Now let's dive back into the High and Low NBA show.
Welcome back. I'm Ike Amaechi. They are Ugo the Sheik, Mitch Orsatti, and Sean Khan, and the guest, Stephen Leslie. It's time for scenarios. We haven't done this in a while, so we'll refresh the memories of OG High and Low Lives and introduce newer listeners to the concept. So Ugo will share a scenario with us, and these guys have to put themselves in that moment and just basically tell you what they would do if they were in that situation. So, Ugo, I know you already asked Steven his scenario, so I'll plug that in first.
Okay, so Steven, your scenario is, and I'm going to sauce it up a bit. You have a dream at night where the great Dr. Bus visits you and says, Steven, I'm not happy with this squad. Next day, you show up at a Laker meeting, and they're talking about all the fixes that they got to do to the Kobe statue, how LeBron is, finally, beat Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for points. Meanwhile, the Lakers are sitting in 9th place right now in the West, battling for a play-in. This is not the Laker way. So you stand up and you say a couple of words, and then Jeannie Buss looks at you and says, okay, Steven, how would you fix this? The floor is yours.
I fire everybody from management, Jeannie's brothers, the players, LeBron, AD, scrap it all. The presidential brother from Jeannie Buss's brother that's trying to be like a president, he's gone too. We just start fresh. Lakers get any big man they want. I'm gonna throw the boat, the horse stable, I should say, at Jokic. He's a horse guy.
Truck.
I'm gonna get Luka to come over too. We're starting fresh in 2 years, and the goal is 3-peat. Like, I know Lakers are 9th now, and I saw them last year. They did the same thing, where like bubble 9th, whatever it was. What do you call it? Under 8th? Play-in team. And then they went to the Western Conference Finals. I believe the same thing's gonna happen again because they beat up on OKC all year, but they can't beat Denver. So if you can't win against the top team, then blow it all up. And so that's what I would do. Blow it all up, start fresh. And our goal would be a 3-peat. No, let's win 1 in 2 years and then, we're back down to being mediocre because we're spending money. I want a package where I know we can 3-peat. Fill it up with Europeans. That's where the NBA seems to go going right now.
Wow. Okay, Jokic and Luka.
And some other Europeans. Anyone that has a name like Vovic, Jokic, Somwich.
Somwich.
Anything.
All right, man. All right. So you're going to go back to the Laker way, right? Make Dr. Bus proud again.
1,000%.
Yeah. By the way, Ugo, that's creepy. Dr. Bus came to me in my dreams. I'd go to church the next day.
Listen, man, he's not happy with this team. He's like, what's going on here right now?
Yeah, that's not a dream, man. That's a haunting. He's not happy? Oh, wow, I got shivers. That's a good one. I like it.
Yeah.
And we're back.
The floor is yours to ask Sean and Mitch. Go ahead.
Like now.
He's probably muted.
Sorry, I was muted. My bad. I got people screaming up in this house. Sorry. What was the question again?
Bro.
Exactly.
You are the question.
Oh, my scenarios. Oh, even better. Okay, so Sean.
You go.
You are in a hotel room and you're about to make your pitch to Shohei Ohtani's wife, Mamiko Tanaka, about why she should play for the LA Sparks.
Wow. Wonderful question.
Well, first of all, does she deserve a roster spot on the LA Sparks? Like, what are her stats?
Hey, quick question, Sean. Who does deserve roster spots on the LA Sparks?
I have no idea, actually.
If you're starting your pitch,
is that a thing?
Is that how you start your pitch, bro? You're not going to get no millions, man.
So I know Japan is ranked in the top 7 or 8 in women's basketball FIBA rankings, if I'm not mistaken, and they recently beat Canada, who I think is ranked 4th. So she must be decent.
Hold on, Sean. Hold on. You're
she
in
played
a
for the
hotel
Japanese,
room. The national team. You're in a hotel room with Shohei and his wife, and you're trying to convince her and them that she should play for the LA Sparks, and you're gonna walk in and critique her as a player?
I mean, why do I want her though? Like, why do I want her to play? Maybe a PR thing. Maybe she can add some marketing dollars.
You work for them, and you'll get a commission
You own the LA Sparks.
No,
All
I
right,
know.
okay.
But
No,
I'm
he
taking
can
it
be
back.
an agent?
I don't think I want her on my team. I don't think she's good enough.
She can go back to Fujitsu.
Like,
play
does
for
she have a job?
Fujitsu?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Oh
if
my
she was good enough, she'd be in WNBA already, wouldn't she?
Oh man.
So, I mean, maybe come over to LA and you can be a good Japanese wife to your husband.
Oh,
give him a
my
nice hot
God.
bath after
All right,
the games.
all right. This scenario's done.
Give him a nice warm towel. Nice massage.
Oh,
husband needs
my-
it. He works hard out there. He's a pitcher
my-
and a hitter. He works 2 jobs. So he needs that extra TLC, and I think the only way does the owner of the Sparks also own the Dodgers? Is that a thing? Because that would be the only really motivation for me to want to sign her.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. So going on to
You,
Mitch.
you asked for it, man.
Yeah,
You asked for it.
You got it.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
was
no,
Know your
listen.
audience.
Or that answer.
Yeah, that was that. And listen, I shouldn't even be surprised. Like I was not expecting that answer, and it was thoroughly entertaining. Yes, hot towels. I didn't know that was a thing in Japan, but I guess so. Okay, Mitch, you got to choose your own adventure.
Okay. My favorite books when I was a kid.
All right, so your door number 1
Mm-hmm.
takes you into James Dolan's office.
Bad
And
start.
you get to have a conversation with him about, do you really want to sue the Raptors after they gave you Precious and OG on a platter?
Okay. Hate
and
that door. It's a
And
crap
door number 2 takes you on to the podcast where Gilbert Arenas said that the NBA needs to get rid of all Europeans. And you have an
God.
opportunity to do a rebuttal.
That means I got to spend time with 2 people I don't care for at all.
Exactly.
Well, I want nothing to do with James Dolan. No way. Put me on that terrible, terrible podcast with Agent Zero.
Oh, wow.
All right, so what's your rebuttal?
Oh, I got to tell my rebuttle too?
Yeah, you got to throw in some sauce.
I talked. Yeah. I mean,
This whole show is your rebuttal.
I know. Yeah.
This whole run, all 200 episodes has been.
That's right. Exactly.
Mitch's rebuttal.
I've said it and said it and said it. But I think I said it very recently, maybe last week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, whatever it was. Like, he said the Europeans don't play any defense, and it's like, okay, the top three defenders in the league are European. Like, are you sure?
Yeah.
Is that the route you want to go? But I would have no interest in playing his games, which is why I would be a bad podcast host on there, or a podcast guest on that show.
Oh,
Done.
okay. Well
Facts.
done. Well done.
Who are the top 3 defenders? Is Giannis? Is that who you're counting?
Rudy, Giannis, and Wemby.
Wemby, yeah. 2 of those are African, actually, but we won't get into the details of those.
Yes. And the other one is half.
Rudy Gobert is not half African. I don't claim him.
We're all half African.
One drop rule, I guess, then.
That's true. Let's take a quick break. We'll take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to cap things off with our favorite high and low moments. We'll be right back.
This episode of High and Low was brought to you by the High and Low Lifes everywhere. We appreciate your support, your opinions. We appreciate you. Thank you for being a part of the High and Low experience. All 200 episodes. Now let's get back to the High and Low NBA show.
And welcome back. This is the High and Low NBA show, or the High and Low basketball show. Depends on the day. I think it's important to celebrate milestones, but it's equally, if not more important, to enjoy the moments in between. And I think we've been able to enjoy the moments over the last 199 episodes, plus this one, 200. The stepping stones that bring us to these signposts, this high and low high mark, we've enjoyed them. And I think it would be great to share those moments with our listeners. So, gentlemen, what's your favorite moment, maybe most memorable or funny moment, and why? And of course, I will play a clip.
I'd love to go first on this one if it's okay. This was super hard because there's been so many great moments, and I have a ton of honorable mentions that I'll get to after Sean and Ugo go. But one of my favorites and one that sticks out like I'll just be like walking down the street sometimes and I'll think about this. But Sean's position on athleticism was a very early highlight for me in the podcast. And I know you're gonna play a clip. Yeah, speaking of, I know you're gonna play a clip, but like we were building an ideal player from scratch, and the question was, whose athleticism would you choose? And I confidently said that I would take my boy Gerald Green, and I gave Russ his flowers too. But as soon as I said Gerald Green, Ike said, "Oh, possibly one of the most athletic players in the NBA ever. Is that right?" And then Sean was like, so definitively, no, like very, very quick, speaking over somebody, and just was like I couldn't have said something more outlandish. I think Sean lost a lot of respect for me in that moment. And I was like, you know what, fair. Okay, maybe he's got a cool answer and reason for why. But then you started to take like Steve Nash and like Dirk Nowitzki or something, and I'm like, bro, you're lost. You don't know what you're talking about.
I think what saved you was Steven said, was it Sheldon Brown was his guy, which was like
Shannon Brown.
Shannon Brown.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, but you're forgetting the marker was, does he look muscular, right? Does he look, because it was all about the muscles defining athleticism. And we were trying to explain that, like, you know, your muscular physique and athleticism are not the same thing. Like, they're not like interrelated. Anyways,
Steven's like rebuttal to me was like, but Shannon Brown was good at soccer too. So you said,
yeah,
guys that can play on the sports.
Oh, that was hilarious. Oh man. Yeah, that was a doozy.
Man. That's a big one for me.
Love it.
I'm going with my guy Gerald Green for athleticism.
That's a good one, actually. I mean, has there been a better athlete in the NBA in the last, say,
I don't know,
12, 15 years?
That guy gets up.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Like, definitely yes. Just because you can jump doesn't mean he's a good athlete. Jumping is one aspect of athleticism. There's probably 1,000 others.
Well, your turn, I think, right?
Yeah,
Sean, you said has there been a better athlete?
Better be good, man.
Green? Are you kidding me? Come on now.
Okay.
Who else? So who's your
LeBron's
athlete?
a better athlete than Gerald Green. Giannis is a better athlete than Gerald Green. Athlete, like all things considered. If you're talking about jumping ability, okay, Gerald Green is better than 99% of the guys probably that ever played in the game. But total athleticism? Are you telling me he's a better athlete than Michael Jordan?
The question wasn't who's a better athlete.
Build your player, perfect player.
All right. Well, Sean, I think it's only right that you go next.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one thing I'm most associated with on this podcast is my, I don't want to say hate, but just kind of ridicule of Russell Westbrook. And it's not one specific moment for me. It's kind of a feeling that occurred repeatedly. And every time I think Steven was on with us, I tried to make every effort to talk smack about Westbrook. And even if it was far reaching, he would get pretty pissed off. He would hide it well, but I could tell he was pissed, and he really tried hard to support Westbrook every time. I really cherished that back and forth, and I'm going to miss it.
Can I just say too, that is very sweet, but that is not what you are remembered for on this podcast. You're fence sitting, man.
Yes.
That's one thing I didn't fence it on though. So maybe
that's true. You chose your side.
Yeah. Yeah. There's lots. So I would have to say some of the episodes that we did during the pandemic around Black equity and whatnot, and Black Lives Matter and whatnot. We had some really good, open-hearted, honest conversations. One moment I will reflect on, and as my Xbox turns on, actually never happened during any of our podcasts. When Ike initially started up this idea of the podcast, we had a chat group. And there was a bunch of us that were in the chat group. And this chat group, I swear to you, I don't even think it lasted a week without people just dropping out, because Steven went on a tangent about James Harden and the Houston Rockets guaranteed to go to a Western Conference final, or at least the finals or something like that. And people left, right, and center left.
I dipped out so quick.
Left the chat.
I remember sending Ike a message being like, "Yo, thank you for inviting me, but I'm out. This is trash."
Dude, it was I couldn't, like, in a week, I think you must have had at least 12, 15
There were 12 people in there, man.
And like by the end of the week, there was like three.
That was it. Everyone's like, and you see how Mitch said that he sent me a message? I got a message from everyone.
There you go.
It's like, Ike, thanks for the invite, man. Honestly, if you want to start another group on the side without that guy, let me know.
Dude, I was dying. And I was like, yo, who is this guy? I like the energy, but he's talking madness right now. He's just, bloop, everybody just, all you should see, left the chat. It was great.
Hasn't been used since.
Never. Oh, that was great. Yeah, so yeah, that's it. I have a bunch more, but I'll let other people talk too.
So I got two moments. One, it's like a hidden type moment. It was on episode 168. It was the segment about best basketball movie of all time. It was me, Ike, and King. And I'd said Above the Rim. And they were on like the 21-minute mark. But we were laughing uncontrollably talking about the scene where the baller was shooting in the gym in the dark. And I had said, if we compare that to like today's NBA, it'd be Westbrook shooting in the gym with the lights off. And we could not stop laughing for like 20 minutes. Like it just kept going.
Oh, who's playing basketball in the dark? Who's got the mental damage?
Oh, Leon?
Yeah, who's got the mental problems?
Oh, that's
Westbrook.
I mean, it's either
It's Westbrook. It's Westbrook.
Is it Westbrook?
Why do you say it with the mental problem?
I don't know, man.
Oh man, you see Westbrook just playing by himself. No ball. I was teary-eyed, but I wish that little segment, that part, made the pod. But man, that was.
I have
crazy.
to find it. I have to find it.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
And then ultimately, my best moment, episode 21, fresh into the pod. October 12th, 2020. Lakers were crowned NBA champions. The reason why that's my favorite moment, because since we've done this podcast, I've heard banter and trash talk from all these people on the pod weekly, guests coming in weekly, and none of their teams have won the NBA championship. See, my team did, and it hurt these guys. I had people trying to jump on a secondary team, and I'm laughing. Like, your home team ain't win, but my home team did. Oh, the championship doesn't count. No, my team beat the team that you said would beat us. All these Miami Heat fence sitters, Sean. My team did that. That was the best time for me on the podcast. I loved it. Man. Can't take it away from me.
Nope.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think we can get into honorable mentions here. Unless, Ike, do you have one you want to drop in?
My favorite moment is just the entire run of this. Yeah. That's it for me, man. You guys have been fantastic, and just the fact that you show up and we have this great banter every single week, and the fact that we have this great banter every single day in the group chat has just been just very appreciative of that. So yeah, that's
the big trophy. I think we got that group chat that we finally found the group chat that works. Eh?
Yes, exactly. No one ran away from that group chat.
Exactly.
Okay, I want to run through a couple honorable mentions. Ugo, you were talking about our conversations about like Black excellence and Black Lives Matter. There was a Kobe episode that we did, I think was really good, where we talked about the impact that he had after he died. Mm-hmm. But on the other side of that, Steven talking about only hiring white coaches was a big highlight for me.
Oh, hilarious.
That was a great episode. The glistening muscles was definitely up there. That was in tandem with that. In the Discord, we had Curry Watch, where Steven was like, Steph doesn't have it like that. It's not. And then he rattled off like 30, 40, 50, 30 like crazy games in a row. And we were just, Steven was just like, okay, we can stop now. You don't have to keep telling me how wrong I am. That was
Curry Watch is over.
But my second favorite below the athleticism one was the alpha. Like that's top tier for me. Ugo mentioning alpha like something like 42 times in like
If he
a
had
sentence
a
run.
nickel for every time he said it, he'd be
And-
a very rich.
And we noticed it in the moment after like the, I don't know, 4th, 5th or something, like, and we're like, man, he's really saying it a lot. And then Ike in post putting the ding every time he said it was like, what a treat.
I wasn't wrong though, man. I wasn't wrong.
Look at you. Dig your heels in, man.
I mean, I can't remember what you were even talking about. Like,
Yeah.
what your entire point was lost. So
Yeah.
you weren't
No,
wrong,
though.
but you
It
weren't
was
anything else.
No, hold on. So let's go back to this. It was legit because the problem was, remember, he was responding to people on Twitter off a burner phone.
I don't even know who the he is. That's my point, bro.
It was Durant.
I don't even know who we were talking about.
It was Durant. I remember I was getting vexed because I was like, dude, like, you're top tier. Why are you wasting your time arguing with people who can't even dribble a basketball? Anyway, he ain't no alpha
So
anyway.
I got a couple of honorable mentions. So one is my friend Kyle direct messaging.
Oh, yeah.
a few of you guys. That was so funny.
Oh, I forgot about that.
And then one is like something I got some feedback from and like kind of tooting my own horn. I made like many predictions on this show and was wrong most of the time, but the one that I got right was specifically mentioning that Miami was going to sweep Milwaukee in the first round of the bubble playoffs as an 8 seed over a 1 seed, and it happened.
That's true. No, that's very true. Very true.
Wow.
So I will say like how our own little kind of culture has evolved over time. Like, you know, Sean used to do the little cricket sounds at the end of the show, and we'd always try to add something.
I did one
in there
today
to make it interesting. Yeah, you know, add something interesting in there. And to me, it's still a phenomenon. I don't know how it happens, but every season, Mitch and Steven are against each other up until free agency. Then they're best of friends.
It's a special thing we have.
They go back. Oh, this person's good for this team. There's no Lakers. There's no Europeans. There's no white. There's none of that stuff. They're just all in on the player movement. Who signed where? Oh, that wasn't a good deal. Yeah, I agree with you. That guy's not worth that money. Blah, blah. Then the minute the season starts, Lakers, Jokic. That's it. We're no longer friends.
Right. So true. That's a good observation, actually.
Wow. Hey, all great moments. This feels like a good place for us to end.
Why the fuck I can't shoot 3-point shots?
And that brings us to the end of episode 200 of High and Low. So thank you, Ugo. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Mitch. Thank you, Steven. Thanks everyone. You guys have been incredible partners on this road trip to 200. We've been talking hoops and everything else every day for almost 4 years, weekly for this show. Thank you for trusting and believing in High and Low, having the audacity to put your opinions out there for the world to hear week after week. I've appreciated every single minute that you've dedicated to the show. Pardon me if I'm adding a sense of finality to the show, but I did say that I would announce something at the end. So if you're still listening, thank you for hanging on. The announcement is this: the High and Low NBA show is coming to an end for now. Maybe not to an end, but consider it a hiatus. The High and Low channels will still be active. You'll still see new content every week, but there will. I don't know. I'm not gonna. Don't hold me to that.
Easy.
But there will be no new episodes of the podcast for the time being. I've hosted and produced every episode since May 2000. Basically ensuring you have something new in your podcast feed every single Monday, and taking a break, man. Embarking on some new adventures, which will make it next to impossible to keep High and Low episodes coming your way every week. The good news is that one of these adventures may involve the High and Low brand, so keep your ear to the ground next season. This has been a fantastic run. Had a lot of fun. This might be on pause, but the banter that I have with these guys, that'll continue. I've always left the Discord link in our show notes, so there is a possibility that people could join those conversations. As mentioned, so High and Low will still be live. You know where to find us. We're on Instagram, TikTok, X, YouTube. Links are always in the show notes. So guys, Ugo, Mitch, Sean, anything to say to the listeners before we sign off? I already got a message from Steven, so I'll add that.
First, I want to say a big shout out to our brother King, even though he's not here because he's in parts unknown. He was definitely able to definitely deliver some moments. I still remember the Chinese NBA Raptors championship conspiracy theory.
That was a great one.
That was a good one. So shout out to King. Shout out to my brothers on this podcast. You guys have been able to definitely support me in a lot of ways that just can't be measured or monetized. And I'll always be grateful to all of you and for this opportunity to connect and grow.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
Yeah. For me, I guess like the first 100 episodes or so, I was pretty much a regular on the show. I had an opportunity to do something I've always wanted to do since I was a child, and that is commentate on air about sports. We went about it in our own way. We're not reporters. We're providing commentary on the sport and surrounding topics outside of the actual game itself. Thank you to Ike and the crew for giving me that opportunity to grow and fulfill a childhood dream of mine. Thank you for the listeners for your support and engagement. I hope this isn't the end, but if it is, it's been quite the journey and one that I'll look back on with quite fond memories. Thanks again to my fellow podcasters. It's been great getting to know you guys, talking trash with all you guys. So yeah, let's continue this offline.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. And for me, while COVID is certainly not gone, the pandemic lockdown period was made, so much better as it could be because of the people on this podcast. Ugo, your nonsense has brought me countless smiles. I love being on a podcast with Ugo because you never know what you're gonna get. Sean, the opposite. It's always a treat to be on the pod with you because I know I'm gonna get a measured, thoughtful take. So you and Ugo being on the same podcast at the same time was such a great balance. I appreciated that from you. Steven, I hate you forever. Bye, whatever. Ike. No, I love Steven so much. He's a good dude. I'll miss Steven for sure. We've had, like Ugo said, we have our ups and downs, but that's part of our thing, right? It's our relationship, and I appreciate him for that. Exactly. And Ike, man, you made this. This is you. This show, the podcast, the nasty ways you throw segments off to their death, the platform that you've built for us. I'm so grateful for the opportunity, for the time spent, for the conversations along the way. I love y'all. Love our listeners. Love our guests. It's been a treat.
Yeah. I guess I'd just like to say thanks for listening. It's a pleasure doing this for this long. 200 episodes was not a joke. I probably got in on, I'd say 120. I think so.
It's a good number.
I know it is. Stretch run was sick until real life came in and had to work sometimes. But no, thanks for listener questions. Thanks for listening, sharing. This was a sick thing to do. And just bother Ikenna and we'll be back. That's it. Just bother and we'll be back. He does all the hard work. Thanks for that as well.
Appreciate it.
Well, yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, man. This is great, man. I wish we could do this every single time. This is how we should have signed off on every episode. It's hey, what do we like and love about each other?
Hell no.
There couldn't have been a better dynamic, a better group of people to bring together. I think you guys are just perfect. And this was so therapeutic as well. And for years, and Ugo knows this about me, for years is working in the media space, TV and all that stuff, you get pulled into doing things that you're not necessarily passionate about. You just kind of it's just a job, and there was a series that I was a part of that I was producing, and I was just it was nice, people liked it, but I had next to no passion for it. I won't even call it out because then people will be whoa.
It was entertaining for us, though.
It was entertaining for you guys. But this was me like, I just want to talk. I just want to do something that I love and enjoy and talk about basketball. Played basketball all my life. Love watching the sport. Love watching the sport with these guys. Being able to bring everyone together and just talk hoops and just do it on a platform like this one and just do it offline. Like just be able to just have a group that you can come back to at any given moment, and just be able to share your thoughts. I love what it's turned into. So it's not just about basketball. It's about more than that. And so I feel like I've seen a brotherhood grow and be created over the years, which I'm forever grateful for. So thank you guys for that. Of course, I got to shout out the music.
Yeah, shout out to Live.
Live, L-Y-V-E. Live.
Can't find him.
Oh, you can find Live. Can't find Sonny Rockwell.
Oh,
Sonny
yes,
Rockwell.
Sorry. One of them I can't find.
But Live and I go back. Well, Live and I go back along with Sonny Rockwell and my guy Dice. Go back years. Guys were part of a group called Heavyweight, and they put out a record called Yesterday. If you can find it, wow. Then wow.
Then you'll have found Sonny Rockwell for true.
For true, exactly. Live is still doing it, still making that good music. In fact, he just dropped a new album with Via Lines. They call themselves VLXL. So go stream that, listen to it, enjoy it. It's called Loose Threads. That's the name of the album. But yeah. Also, sound design is by Vaughn August. This is a Vaughn Abraham podcast, just in case you didn't know. So on behalf of the guest, Stephen Leslie, on behalf of Ugo the Sheik, on behalf of Sean Controversy, on behalf of Mitch Orsatti, I'm Ike Amaechi. Thank you for listening to High and Low. And we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Sayonara.
It's called Hentai, and it's on.
Wow.